Matt, that's one guy. David Sweat, we'll keep showing their pictures just in case, because the men, they're convicted killers, they're on the loose, they broke out of Supermax prison with an obvious plan. So the question is, what else do they have planned? And as you heard, they could be in the border, across the border in Canada. It's very close there. So how did this happen, and what do you do now to try and find someone like this? We have Jonathan Gilliam. He's a former FBI special agent, U.S. Air Marshal, and Navy SEAL. That's some combination of talents. You're exactly the man for this job. So let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
They say this is the only time that anyone broke out of this Supermax. It's the only Supermax they have in New York State.
Right.
How does this size up in terms of these guys knew what they were doing in your experience?
Well, I know a lot of people that work for the prison system, and they're as professional as you can get. I do think, though, that this appears to me that there had to be some type of inside help. Definitely, and this is what really worries me, it looks from my perspective as though they may have had some outside help. And why that really worries me is that, you know, if I took your job away from CNN and I took all your money away from you, where are you probably going to go? Probably back to the last place that you came from, which is home or somebody that you were dating or married to. But if you have outside help, that makes it even harder to track, because now you have support. And once support is secreted into this whole situation, the sky's the limit where they go. And
the reason that you're taking us down that road is a combination of factors. One, sophistication of tools, right, which they wouldn't have anyway, and they're probably battery packed, right, because they're not getting a cord, so they needed a way to charge them. They knew how to use those tools. Those are clean cuts, and you know they probably weren't learning that in shop there. Then they also knew how to do it and not get detected in the cell. And they knew how to follow what I understand to be a labyrinth of steam pipes that could just as easily keep you going in circles all night as getting you out. And then they vanished.
See, the combination of all those things is very worrisome for me, because that spells help. I just don't think that, listen, could they have gotten some tools somehow from the inside to cut through
They were
a
doing
wall?
construction in the prison.
Sure. Could they have gotten that? Could they have gotten into a pipe somehow? Possibly. But when you put the combination of all these things coming together and how perfectly they worked, it just spells to me help. And I would be taking a close look, not only at the guards, but at who's doing that construction. Because we've found with certain organized crime groups, you know, they're really good at going, like if they want to rob a bank, and doing some construction in the building next and actually coming through the wall or down from the ceiling. So this looks to me like they could have possibilities of the construction crews actually being involved.
And I mean, they're definitely scrambling. We had the governor on earlier, obviously, my brother, and this is what he had to say.
It was really unbelievable. If it wasn't, if it was a movie plot, you would say that it was overdone. There's no doubt, in my opinion, that they needed equipment that they wouldn't have had, and they had to have the assistance of someone.
And how did they even cut through the wall in the cell without being heard?
That's the other thing. There's certain tools there that have been left there, but I would really suggest that law enforcement is looking to see if other tools were used. Was there a plasma cutter? Was there something that may have been snuck in that they could use? But you know, the thing is, we could talk about how they got out all day long, and I think that's where investigation is going to have to go. I think one thing that's important that you all can reach is the public right now. You know, if you have family members that live there, I would call them and see if they're home. Because if these guys got in and, heaven forbid, murdered somebody and took their car, you know, you're not going to know that for a long time until you do communicate with these people. I think it's important for the public to reach out as law enforcement moves forward. The good thing is it's a wooded area. If they didn't have help and they get stuck in there, maybe they'll be there to be able to track them. But again, I just think that they probably had outside help.
If they planned this much to get out of the prison,
that's right.
It seems like common sense that they would have planned to do something once they did get out.
Right.
One man who didn't alert the authorities at the time later said, I think I saw these two guys, and he did match description with them in his backyard, which would show a little bit of an unsophisticated level to this plan. But the types of men, one of these guys killed his boss, chopped him up afterwards, and the other guy killed a cop. So these are the worst of the worst.
That is the worst. I mean, look, when you're looking at people who dismember or somebody who kills a cop, that's basically as bad as it gets right there. And so, you know, I don't know if they split up. I think it would be better for the public if they did. It would be better for them if they actually stayed together, because I've come from a team environment and I think they would go a lot further. But probably most likely if they had support, I would say they're probably going to split up at some point in time.
Now, let's say that this is the timing that they know so far is accurate. So they were there for bed check. 5:30 or so that night, Friday night, gone the next morning. This period, without hearing from them, what does that indicate to you?
Well, again, they knew when to leave.
But I'm saying that for them to make it this long already, because usually you guys catch these guys pretty fast. You know?
And here again, I keep going back to the same point. If they have help, that period of time is just it's going to lengthen their ability to get wherever the support group gave them the ability to go. If they're on their own, they have to go to crime, because in order to support themselves, if they don't have help, they don't have money, they're going to commit crimes in order to keep this going. If they have support, there's less crime, it's easier for them to hide. So that 8-hour period is really not going to be as big of a deal if they have help, but it could set the parameters of how far they would go if they did not have help, and that's where you need to start looking. Has there been carjackings? Has there been robberies? Has there been clothes stolen off of a clothesline? Even the stuff that you see from the movies. I mean, that's the way these individuals work if they're on the run alone.
We have not seen anything like this in a very long time. Mr. Gilliam, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Allison?